Welcome back to the Suburban Rifleman. Today we're going to be taking a look at and shooting another Mosin Nagant. I've already taken a look at a couple of them. This was the sort of the centerpiece of my collection when I was a serious Mosin Nagant collector. Back in those days, even Finnish M39s were pretty common. This was not at all common. As a matter of fact, it's a lot more common today due to all the reproductions that have been imported and assembled by outfits like Century Arms and I think AIM and a couple of other places over the years. But if you're not already familiar with this, what you're looking at is a Mosin Nagant model 9130, and this is the PU Sniper variant. It came with a scope cover, which I will remove. And it came with the original scope caps that still have the wax paper wrapped around the leather strap there. Unlike most people who do a video on a PU sniper rifle, most of them will preface their video by saying, of course, this is not real. This is a reproduction. It's been assembled out of parts, and 9130 PU snipers are extremely rare, and every single one you're going to see for sale is fake. And but I'm not going to say that because none of that is really all that true. Well, first of all, it's not true that this is a reproduction. This is an original 9130 PU. I know that because I've researched it extensively. I also know that because at the time I bought this about 25 years ago, there wasn't anybody assembling, other than a few, there might have been a few hobbyists assembling their own 9130 PUs, but there were no big outfits like Century Arms assembling 9130 PUs in the late 1990s, or it might have been the very early 2000s when I bought this. I bought this from Kohl's. I think they were down in Tennessee. They were a great surplus dealer, a smaller one. And unfortunately, in recent years, they kind of fell on hard times. I know the owner had some medical issues, and then there was a warehouse fire that burned up a lot of their inventory, and they don't exist anymore. But first of all, let's check and make sure I know that it's cleared. Magazine's empty, chamber's empty, bolts open. So we've done I did the safety check at home before I came out here, but anyway, they imported quite a few of these, and they were not cheap. I paid about 8 times as much for this as I was paying for other Mosin Nagants at the time. But this is essentially as it was found in a Ukrainian arsenal sometime in the late 1990s or early 2000s. There isn't even an import mark on this rifle anywhere. I know it's an import because I bought it from a distributor, but it somehow managed to avoid having any import marks placed on it. There are no Latin alphabet letters placed into the serial number to replace the Cyrillic serial numbers. So this is an original 9130 PU sniper. It has been arsenal refinished, obviously. It was made at Ijevsk in 1944, and it did have the original scope's serial number applied to the side of the barrel shank. That doesn't exist anymore. There are still a few little remnants of it, but those were ground off during the arsenal refinishing process. Obviously, this scope was matched up to this rifle probably sometime in the 1950s. The way that it is marked with both the scope's serial number and the rifle's serial number electro-penciled onto the scope mount, that is correct, depending on the arsenal that's doing the refinishing. This was done either in the Ukraine, I'm pretty sure the Ukraine, it's been a while since I did any research on this rifle, or Poland, but I'm pretty sure this is a Ukrainian refurb. Other than that, it's a pretty straightforward 9130 PU. I'm not going to get really deep into the history of these rifles because there are other videos out there that cover it in much better detail than I could do off the top of my head here. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and shoot this. I have a target set up at 100 yards, And then we'll talk a little bit about the kind of accuracy you could expect from a World War II vintage sniper rifle with a World War II vintage optic on it. Public opinion has kind of shifted back and forth. When I was a kid, everyone knew that these Russian rifles were junk. And then all of a sudden, a ton of them got imported in the 1990s and the early 2000s. And there were a couple of movies made, and there were big distributors trying to sell these. A lot of money was pumped into advertising. And suddenly, these were the most accurate rifles that had ever been made. Now, public opinion has kind of shifted back the other way. People are a little less enthused about the the Mosin Nagant rifles in general than they were, with the exception of maybe Finnish M27s and M39s and things like that. But really, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle. This rifle is certainly not a precision rifle by modern standards, but as you will see, it's pretty accurate, and certainly the Soviets did very good work with these rifles during World War II. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and we'll shoot it. All right, so I got all set up here. Today I'm shooting Soviet surplus ammo. This is 7.62 by 54, obviously. This is standard light ball, made in 1986. It's got a factory code of 60 on it. This is pretty good quality stuff. I was lucky to, or I am lucky to have bought a rather large quantity of this back in the late 90s or early 2000s. This is really good quality, very consistent ammo. The only real difference between this and the stuff that's marked with the Sniper Sky on the outside of the paper packets is the fact that that stuff was selected by lot as being particularly consistent, but it's basically the same ammo. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to buy this stuff anymore, not on a retail basis anyway, fairly soon, because as you may or may not already know, Uncle Joe recently put forth an executive order banning all ammunition imports from Russia. But I've got mine. Hopefully you've got yours. Let's go ahead and shoot. Turn that on. All right, here we go. I've got 5 rounds loaded. This is obviously a 5-round internal box magazine. And I'm shooting at a paper target at 100 yards. So I haven't had a whole lot of luck with this rifle in past shooting experiences, range trips. But in the 20 or so years I've owned the rifle, I've only shot it about 2 or 3 times. And yesterday was the first time I've had actually pretty good luck. I went over the whole thing very recently and did a lot of Loctiting and things. So let's see how we do today. The thing about the PU rifle is this scope mount places the scope very high, and you've got this sort of chin weld on the rifle.
Oh, 4 o'clock, an inch off the orange.
Okay.
Right on the edge of the orange at 1 o'clock.
Wow. Sounds like it's shaping up into a pretty decent group. I probably just jinxed it.
Um, 10:30, about 2 inches out.
Yeah. I should have kept my mouth shut. It does look like we've got it pretty well zeroed, though.
10:30, really just a half an inch off of the orange.
Wow. Yeah, whatever I did a couple months ago when I worked this rifle over, needed to be done. Because previously I was getting 7-inch groups, 7 inches to the left of the bull, unless I adjusted the scope way off center. Right now it's more or less exactly on the factory 0. And the windage is just about perfect. All right.
That's a little lower than the second shot. It's maybe 1.5 inches off the bottom of the orange at 5 o'clock.
All right. Let's go check it out, shall we?
Yeah, I'm calling it.
What?
I'm calling it a 5-inch group.
So certainly not precision accuracy as we would expect from a modern rifle, but it looks like we're just about maybe a 4.5-inch group, which, you know, by the standards of 80 years ago, it's not too terribly bad. So pretty happy with that. So all in all, not too shabby for an 80-year-old rifle with an 80-year-old optic and 40-year-old surplus ammunition. These are really cool rifles. They're not, as some people would suggest, super duper rare. I forget off the top of my head just how many millions of these were produced, but it was by far the most common sniper rifle of World War II. It's probably produced in larger numbers than any other sniper rifle in the history of sniper rifles. It just doesn't make sense to think that every single one that you come across is going to be a fake. Having said that, and I don't have a problem with reproduction 9130 PUs. A lot of them are made out of original parts, and they're made out of original sniper rifles. They get re-snipered, and I don't have a problem with that as long as somebody's not passing it off as being original. But the idea that original rifles like this one don't exist and it's going to be impossible to find one is simply not true. And even if you find a reproduction model, go ahead, take it out and shoot it. They can be excellent shooters. This one certainly is acceptably good. It's a fun thing to shoot. If I want to get some sort of precision accuracy, I will grab one of my other rifles. But it's certainly fun to take out and shoot, and you could do good work with this rifle. I imagine if I really wanted to invest some time and energy into working up hand loads and maybe doing a little bedding or something, you could probably improve these groups somewhat. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm mostly interested in keeping this rifle as original as possible. My next video, my very next video, is going to be on another sniper rifle, and it's going to be another Eastern Bloc sniper rifle. So I'm not gonna give away exactly what that is just yet. So I'm gonna let you speculate about that. That should be coming out in just about a week, and that's a really, really interesting rifle. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to shoot it because I haven't been able to put any ammunition together yet. But I do want to take a close look at it and show you guys, because I'm very excited. I got it on my birthday, and I've had an opportunity to put exactly one round through it so far. But hopefully that will be appearing in a shooting video before too long. But you'll at least get to take a good look at it next week. And when I post that up, I hope to see each of you here then. Later, guys.